Welcome back, and let's get right into it. Dr. Yahuza Getso, crime and terrorism analyst and, of course, risk and security consultant, joins us now virtually on the program. Dr. Getso, good morning and welcome to the Morning Brief.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. Good morning, viewers.
Of course, today's conversation comes on the heels of yet another attack in Kebbi State, in Shanga local government area to be precise, where 9 military officers and 1 police officer were killed. So gruesomely. We saw the governor yesterday almost very emotional as he addressed pressmen. And I recall that the last time we had you here, you talked about an approach by the terrorists, which seems to be attack on institutional formations. Talk to us about what you know about this latest attack.
Well, actually, Nigeria is facing a very difficult challenge and a trial moment. It is obvious that when you look at the different approaches of the criminals who are conducting their unslaughtered activities in the northwestern part of the country and the northeastern part of the country, in the northwest, you know, you have Lakurawa, who are more of religious radical group, and then you have the bandits. The focus of the bandits mostly is attack on the communities and struggle for financial resources in order to gain more money, in order to kind of make a way to make additional, to process additional, procure and process additional arms. Whereas Lakurawa are very organized, very, very organized indeed, because they have a more sophisticated, dangerous arms, and also they are well trained and well organized and well coordinated. And their focus, since they came into the country, their operations focuses more on institutions. Remember, they attack police station. Remember, they kill custom officers. Remember, they kill immigration. Remember, they ambush military. And now, what happens by ambushing the military yesterday in Shanga local government, which form part of the collaboration and partnership with Abakar Jalungu, who is also at the extreme end of the areas of Bargu. That is the neighborhood between Kebbi State and that is between Bargu Emirate and Yauri Emirate. Bargu Emirate in Kwara and Yaur Emirate by the other end. So it is quite difficult moment. It is not about being emotional after action review. It is not all about making political statements. It is not all about continuing to hold people, to allow people to neglect their responsibility. It is all about trying to act fast so that we can be able to fast track and deal with these guys. They are not at any way far away from us. All the locations of Lakurawa in Kebbi State and Sokoto State is known. And I think until the government became more proactive by reaching out to where these guys are and dealing with them accordingly, so that will weaken their capacity, and then Nigeria will be a sovereign state, not a state where you have ungoverned spaces and you have governed spaces. So it is not about governor being emotional. It is not about emir being emotional. It is not about Nigerians being emotional. It is not about after action review. Let's do the needful. The northern governors should stop their hypocrisy. Let's focus and deal with the situation and the challenge we have decisively. It's not all, and Nigerians are tired of all the story of after action review. And this is demoralizing our security personnel. These guys who are committing these offenses are known, and their locations are known. Everywhere they are in northern Nigeria, in Kebbi State, wherever they are is known. It's not that they're in any hidden place. It's not that Nigerian troops doesn't have the capacity to reach out to them. There is need to do the needful, to cordon all the areas where they are, to combine air and land strike so that we can be able to weaken them. Even if we cannot deal with them 100%, at least let's cripple their capacity by the speed of 70%, 75% or 80%, which I believe Nigeria have the ability and capacity to achieve within the next 48 hours if we are really serious and if we are ready to hold people accountable for the responsibilities being assigned.
Well, Dr. Getso, you have identified the Lakrawa sectors operating in Kebbi State predominantly, if I get you correctly. But we have a very big problem on our hands. They're also operating in Nigeria's northeast. There's a resurgence in Borno State, which had, begun to experience some form of stability just a couple of years before now. But we're also seeing, a mutation into areas like Kogi, Kwara, and in recent times, Oyo State. What should we be perceiving to be the identity of those who are mutating further down the north central and even in some parts of the southwest? Who are these people, and are they invincible?
What is happening? What is happening in the recent days in the case of northeastern part of the country, the resurgence of Boko Haram, is as a result of efforts of our troops who have been pushing within the Sambisa forest and the enclaves and the hideouts of the so-called hideouts of these guys. Yes, of course, the struggle for fighting the insurgents of Boko Haram and ISWAP in the northeastern part of the country may be a little bit difficult, maybe a little bit challenging, because their identities are quite difficult to identify, even though the communities of those areas of northeastern part of the country might not be helping matters by providing adequate, relevant information, intelligence information to personnel so that they can do the needful. Even though it is also good to note that while personnel, we said personnel are doing what is expected and pushing the guys, and it is as a result the ISWAP and Boko Haram are busting out in order to challenge the government and to show that they still have the capacity. They busted out, they send some of their errands into Maiduguri in order to detonate bombs so that they can distract the effort of the military. Notwithstanding, we still have issues of negligence, we still have issues of sabotage, we still have issues of inability to hold people accountable for their negligence to duty, and so on and so forth. And in the case of North Central, the issues of Kwara, the issues of Niger, the issues of Kogi, by extension Oyo, I'm not surprised of what is happening, because I have cautioned and warned the government, the Nigerian government, and Nigerian states over the couple of since towards the end of the Buhari administration down to the emergence of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I have made a number of submissions during the conferences I attended, and also the national and international media chats I had, both through radio and television. I have made it very clear that Nigeria should take decisive action in the areas of Wawa, in the areas of Kiama, in Kwara State, in some extreme end neighborhood between Niger, Kwara, and Kebbi State. But due to negligence, Nigerian state, I cannot say, yes, of course, I can say it is negligence, because these guys, like I mentioned, they were grouping, and they were coming from different entities. And I made mention in several interviews and several media discussions, and in the writings I made on my social media outlets and the conferences, I made it very clear that even some of the bandits who found it very difficult when our troops were pushing them in some areas of Sokoto State, in some areas of Katsina and that of Zamfara, I caution and I warn the government that these guys are aligning with these people who are the ISWAP elements, the Boko Haram elements, and even some foreign allies who put themselves, made themselves available within the Kiama and the other areas within the neighborhood of Niger State, Kwara State, as well as Kebbi State. And to some extent, I made a very clear assertion, and I made a very clear analysis, and I advised the government, please, you need to take decisive action between the areas of Niger and the areas of Kogi towards, by extension, right from the Shiroro, Alawa, and many other, Alawa Forest and many other part of areas between Niger and Kogi. But government became a little bit adamant.
Well, Mr. Getso, let me come in quickly. Pardon me to come in quickly, Mr. Getso, if you can hear me. And, you know, this is not the first time we've had this conversation with you. And I know you're referencing some of the points you made in previous interviews. And I want us to tackle this issue that has come up time and again, but it's never really been resolved. And that is, what is the thinking of the average person from the north? What is the perspective towards terrorism, banditry, call it whatever? So it's sort of mixed, and I want you to maybe help us understand. So some people think, oh, these people are willful collaborators in one way or the other, either sharing intelligence and all of that. So some of the people actually sort of see this terrorist as some sort of extension, like their family or their militia. Some see them as, oh, okay, this is just a type of what we had in the South, right? So maybe you should find a way to sort them as well. They're not really doing anything wrong. They're just fighting for the region. So what does the average person from the north think about these terrorists?
Well, if I get you very right, the terrorists operating in north central and northwestern parts of the country are divided and classified into 5. 1, the group of informers. 2, the group of militia, combined militia between the Fulani militia as well as the number, that's number 2. Number 3, the Boko Haram elements who are struggling in order to make money through kidnappings and collaborative partnership in terms of armed deals and armed trading and so on and so forth. And number 4, the Laprawa militia, who are mostly, more than 90% of them are foreigners. We doesn't have any iota of element, testable evidence that they have started recruiting Nigerians into operations, but they are recruiting Nigerians into intelligence and information generation, as well as provision of some social services. And the other function of Abakar Jalungu, who are also situated and partnered with some other elements who are likely foreigners from Mali and other countries who are within that area, are also another group. Now, the Nigerian states have not been able to handle and to hold people accountable. I said time was outnumbered, and I'm repeating myself. These guys are not in any hideout. Nigerian government knows where they are, and if at all we have a serious government, if we have people responsible at the helm of the affairs of governance in the country, lives and property have been taken seriously.
Right, Mr. Getso, if you can hear me just quickly. Yes, I appreciate that classification. You've broken them down into informants, militia, Boko Haram, Lakrawa, foreigners, the ones from Mali. But I'm asking that, what does the average person from the north think about these terrorists? Is it like, okay, when we don't know what to think about them, they're fighting for us, we welcome them in some way, or we totally reject them? Because it looks like there is really no single front to this terrorism. So maybe you can help us understand, what does the average person from the north think about these terrorists?
You know, it has been made very clear. Nigerian government had made it very clear since Buhari administration and even before, and even recently, that they know the financiers who are funding these activities. So if you know who is funding the activity, when you want to bring at the end of a tree, you don't just shake the tree for the fruits and the leaves to get down. You need to go to the root cause and cut the roots. So if we know who are the financiers, if we know who are funding, if we know the source of funding, which I'm sure the intelligence, the Nigerian security, I believe more than 90% that they know who are the funders. So what are we waiting for that we cannot expose and hold them accountable and deal with them, so that could have served as a deterrence for others to take their lessons from that? I think it is very, very important, because the common man cannot never understand that military are moving around, trained personnel are moving around, but still untrained personnel are ambushing the trained personnel and killing them like ants. And this, like I said, is quite demoralizing, and it has serious effect on our national security, and it has serious effect.
If I may comment, if you can, I don't think you've answered the question, so maybe let me make it clearer. We haven't seen, and maybe we haven't looked hard enough. It feels like the North is not angry enough about what is going on in their region. Most of the downside risks happen in the North. Economic, out of school, poverty, we can go on. And this place has huge potential for agriculture and all kinds of things that we can talk about. We haven't seen, say, regions in the North, whether it's North Central or Northwest or Northeast, the core say, they are leading a 10-day protest for this nonsense to stop. We're not seeing a charge from the governors besides meetings. So it's difficult to understand whether they're really in for this government or any other government, whether it's Muhammadu Buhari, God rest his soul, or any other government, to take out this terrorists. So we're asking the question, how does the average northerner feel about these terrorists? Are they seeing them as their brothers who are misguided, or they are seeing them as enemies of states who should be killed by the state? Because we have not seen collective action, robust collective action. Let's use protests, for instance. Let's say we shut down the North for 10 days, and the people are on the street say, government, if you don't fix this, we're not doing that. That's the question we're asking here.
Thank you for this. The reality is, those who are committing the offenses, 99% of them are Northerners and are citizens of Northern region. And yes, of course, the common man in Northern region is seeing them as his brothers, is seeing them as part of him, because they have not denounced themselves from being Muslim, because they are still saying, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. And once you make this commitment, you make this statement, nobody can denounce you being part of the Muslim, unless your actions and activities, which will be judged by Almighty and accordingly. You know, the reality is, the common man in northern part of the country have become at the mercy of the criminals, who are his relations, who are his brothers. And yes, of course, like you mentioned, we have potentials that northern Nigeria can be able to kind of provide all economic activities for Nigeria, even without oil. Looking at the mineral resources, looking at the land, agricultural landmass, looking at so many other economic and political potentials that we have. But it's of no use because of the hypocrisy between elites and the leaders of the northern part of the country. Because if at all there are serious leadership, if at all the hypocrisy between the elites and the leaders within the northern region will be addressed, we will have addressed this issue squarely within less than 30 days. Common man is finding it very difficult.
All right.
Difficult to go to farm, difficult to get what to eat, difficult for social services, and so on and so forth. So yes, of course, people of the northern region have not in any way denounced that these guys who are committing these offenses are not part of them. Only that of Lakurawa and few elements who are likely coming from Mali or some of those areas who are partaking and participating and partnering with other citizens and indigents within the region and committing the chaotic offenses.
All right, Dr. Govt, so we only wonder if what you say is the hypocrisy of the northern leaders is only enabled by the complacency of the people of the north themselves. Perhaps, as Jeffrey has said, they're not angry enough. But we It's clearly an ongoing conversation. We must anchor at this point. We understand that you have further engagements. We thank you for your time. Dr. Yahuza Getso is an international crimes and terrorism analyst who has brought his experience to bear on this conversation. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me. All the best. Goodbye.
We'll take a moment now. When we return, we'll talk politics. The All Progressives Congress has held its zonal congresses, and up next is the party's national convention. Let's examine all of the sides to this conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.